Hello and welcome to Full Warning, a Team Serious podcast. My name is Roger James.
I'm Angelo Cortica.
And today we are joined by Matt Hazard and Jimmy McCarthy. Hey Matt, what's going on?
Hello.
Hazard, from my extensive research, you were a guest on Serious Vintage episode number 13 or 12, and that was, I believe, the Duane Serious Invitational episode. I don't know if you've been on any other podcasts with the guys, but I will start off with my traditional question. Who are you, and what are you doing here?
Man, the Duane Serious, that was like 100 years ago, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Approximately.
Okay, yeah.
Serious Vintage was on the air for 10 years, so yeah, I mean, it couldn't have been more than 10 years ago.
Okay, got that, yeah. My name's Matt Hazard. I'm here because I hang out with these bunch of guys and play Magic, and we eat, we drink, and we are merry. I guess that's why I'm here. Yeah,
that is why you're here. And yeah, I mean, specifically, I wanted to break down one of the longest running invitationals that Team Serious has, the Hazard Serious Invitational, your namesake invitational.
Okay, yeah. Well, let me blame this person sitting behind me first. It's my wife's fault that there is a Hazard Serious Invitational, and she regrets it to this day. But she surprised me for a birthday, whatever it was, 7 or so years ago, and reached out via Nat to a bunch of Team Seriosos and scheduled a Magic tournament for my birthday. So,
okay.
That's how it started. It's all her fault.
Pretty solid birthday present.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great present, and started out then and still going. Yeah, a little bit of a break during COVID.
Let me put a pin in that and just bring in Mr. Jimmy here. So, Jimmy, I will ask you the same question. Jimmy McCarthy, who are you and what are you doing here?
I am a Magic player. I've been playing Magic since I was a kid with my older brother and my dad. We played when I was, grade school, stuff like that. And so I just stopped. My older brother decided he was too cool to hang out with his younger brothers. So I put all my cards away, and then in college I got back into it. That's how I met all the Ohio guys. I went to school in Dayton, Ohio. So I met all the Ohio guys playing Vintage out there, and eventually became Team Serious. And now from the last Hazard Serious Invitational, I was the champion, and that was my back-to-back Hazard Serious Invitational wins. So I guess Roger decided he couldn't leave me out any longer. He had to get me on here.
Yeah, man, you are coming on strong, and it's a really awesome storyline. I love people loving Magic, and I know you weren't loving Magic for a little while, but we'll get into that in a little bit here. So Angelo's not here to keep us on task. So okay, so in my show notes, Angelo wasn't originally going to be here. I was thinking I was going to remind both of you at this point that Angelo's not here.
But I am here.
Yeah, what's up, Angelo? How's it
going? So far, you're doing great. You guys are staying right on task. I love it.
Excellent. Right on time, right on task. This year was Hazard 6 or 7? This was 7. This is Hazard 7.
7. Yeah, this is 7.
So 27 years ago would be 2017, but you said there was a break of COVID. So was it 2015 or 2016 did you start?
Oh, you ask hard questions and I don't do math.
I think it was at least 2 years.
Okay. So let's say it was 2015.
Could you reverse engineer it by figuring out which birthday it was that the thing was thrown for?
Perhaps. Yeah. Perhaps we could reverse engineer it that way.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out for the show notes.
Yeah, I'll figure it out offline.
Yeah, what year was your 29th birthday, Hazard? I think that's what it was.
I don't know. I really don't. I'll figure it out offline, though, and I'll let you know.
Okay, so I helped you a little bit last year because you were in the middle of a move.
A little bit. You helped me a lot.
Well, thank you anyway. But let's talk about the philanthropy that you benefited. I think you benefited them again this year. Talk to us about that choice and what that is.
Sure. It's the Clintonville Beechwold Community Resource Center. It's a place where my son's Cub Scout troop, we went down to help sort food. And yes, we did go through a move, and that was part of my exposure to them. We didn't need the help, but we were exposed to it. We know they exist, and they're in our neighborhood. I'm not going to lie, we live on a nice street. We didn't need the help. But the nice thing about this place is they help people that are not in our zip code, but they provide lots of different stuff. Food, toiletries, whatever. There's no set plan to how they help people out. But yeah, we started that last year with the move, and it was pretty good last year. I know that you helped out with your pizza money last year.
Yeah. But again, we did good, and you did good again this year.
Yeah, well, Nat did the Chaosdraft the day before.
Yeah, okay.
So both benefited. So he, I think with the Chaosdraft, got about 450, and then he got Hasbro to match that.
Oh, amazing.
There's a program where Hasbro can match something that you do in that regard.
So we were like over 1,000 then in total, it sounds like.
Well, yeah, I mean, if he was at 450 with a match, so that's 900, and we were at 362 from the main event.
Wow.
So yeah, 1262.
Good job, guys.
I think it was you last year when you were talking to the group before we started the event. You said something that struck home to me, which was we're fortunate to be able to do what we're doing, and I acknowledge that. So it's nice to help out.
Well, thank you, Hazard, and thank you for hosting and doing this for the community. And I'm sure that your local organization there appreciates it a lot. So
I got one quick aside.
Yeah.
I was kindly dragged out to the bar after the event this year, which hasn't happened in a little while. But on the way home, we actually walked past the resource center because it's just a couple streets south of here.
Nice. So you got to like show everyone where it was.
I might have had a few drinks. I was probably showing them everything on the walk home.
So how many people were registered for Vintage?
This was one of the lowest years. The Lunar Chinese New Year. If I got the name wrong, I'm sorry. But that kept a handful of people out, which cost us a handful of other Clevelanders also.
Yeah, and I wasn't able to attend. I just pulled it up. I see that there was 19 that actually played, but I figured there was maybe a few more that hung out or came through.
There was a couple that hung out. But yeah, that's, I think, the lowest number we've had, because I think the highest was probably 34 maybe a couple of years ago.
Well, I mean, again, so it's not about the quantity; it's about the quality, right? And I'm sure it was a really. I'm looking over the names here. It's like all-star people, and John Hammock came. So, all right. So we're going to talk a little bit about. We're going to move into and talk about a little bit more about the structure of the tournament. We're going to do a little bit of Jimmy's run. Jimmy, I would like to talk to you about your run through the tournament. I have the MTG Melee up right now. So I have your deck list. It is a Bowmaster deck list. Now, I know from talking to you that you've been pretty high on this deck and playing it a lot. Walk us through 30 seconds on the overview of the deck, please.
Yeah, so this is sort of one of the three big blue decks in Vintage right now. You have the sort of Bowmaster Urza Saga Control. You have the Oath of Druids decks that are Oath, like Show and Oath is very popular. Show and Tells. And then you have the big mana artifact decks, right, with all the POs and the coveted jewels and stuff. So this deck is pretty much your Lurrus deck. Essentially every game, if you don't lose in the first two turns, you will cast Lurrus at some point. It is grindy. It is often very slow, and you're just kind of like sitting back. You play like 15 counter spells or something. You have 4 Urza Sagas. I played a Snapcaster at this event, but like my latest list that I played in Milwaukee didn't even have that. So my main deck had 4 1/1 creatures as the only aggro thing other than Urza Saga. But you get to play, 8 colorless sources in your blue-black deck because you have Lorien revealed, and it's just busted, right? You're just using all your mana every turn to make Saga tokens and cast blue spells and cast Bowmasters and counter spells, and you just sort of trade resources with people and then let Saga 3-for-1 you through it, and then, once you trade a bunch and you're both low on resources, you cast a Lurrus and then just, draw 2 cards a turn for the rest of the game, which usually is about 2 or 3 turns before they concede.
I have one question. I think Angelo has a couple questions. My question is about the Time Vault. Where is it?
Yeah, so this list is from the HSI, which was in February. So it was a while back.
February.
So it just, that wasn't what people were playing online. So this list came from the week or two before the event. I spent a lot of time looking at top 8 lists and various MTGO lists from finishes from, blue-black and blue-white and blue-white-black to sort of see what was going on. No one online was playing Time Vault or Twister at the time. All the good lists did not have it. So I didn't play it. I sort of followed what the meta was according to that because I don't play very much Vintage. I don't do a lot of testing. So
yeah,
I wasn't going to play it without knowing.
It looked good, and so you said, run it, ship it.
Yeah.
I just want to know, I see Soul Rend in the sideboard, and I know exactly why it's there. It's for Mono White Initiative. Mm-hmm. So I have 2 questions. Since you copied this deck list, is this card actually on Magic Online?
It is. So the lists I copied, actually, we're playing 3 of them, but Mirage is on MTGO in some respect. I think... I don't know if Mirage is the entire set or just like one of those remastered, but I think Mirage might be in the entire set online. But if you look today, you'll see Soul Rends in the sideboards.
I want to know who dug that out of the bottom of a box somewhere and was like, this is the answer.
That's a good one, right?
My follow-up question is, how many times did you get to cast it?
I boarded it in 0 times. I didn't play against any white creatures at the event.
All right. Well, it's a spicy take.
Yeah, I like those cards. It's good to be prepared anyway.
Yeah, I'll say the reason I chose this deck too, I'm a Deathrite Shaman player. I love my Deathrite Shamans. Actually, the last year I won was with Deathrite Shaman Dothy Voidwalker deck, a bug deck with those guys with a lot of creatures. Yeah. But Orcish Bowmaster just really embarrasses Deathrite Shaman in a lot of ways, in the sort of effect it has on the game and its ability to finish games. So I just couldn't justify playing them. So this is the closest deck to sort of a grindy control deck, the closest to that playstyle that I'm comfortable with. And I think it showed for me that most of my decisions were pretty natural. When I play stuff like the PO deck, the Jewel deck, I don't have the ability to discern which of 2 similar lines is going to be better, because I just don't have the experience with that. I've not practiced, but this deck plays similarly enough to stuff that I do know that it was just, even if it's not the best deck, even if it's worse than those other blue decks or whatever, it was the deck I was going to play the best. My other events, I made the finals in Milwaukee with it. I think my other events have shown that I was correct in that I play it reasonably well.
You have that kind of play style, that bug play style. It's very incremental.
Absolutely, yeah.
Small advantages. Yeah, and you're able to grind that out with this deck. I have the matchups for the Swiss here. I'm going to read off the decks that you faced. You did not lose a game until the 3rd round from this. So round 1, it was 5-color Engineer deck. That's a Lurrus deck. Round 2 was a mono blue Belcher opponent. Then you faced Andy in round 3, who was playing Oath. Yeah. And then you had Chad on Storm. Or was that Doomsday?
It was Beseech.
No. Beseech. Yep, Beseech. And then Duane. Did Duane make the top 8?
Yes. Duane was 3rd or 4th. Or no, Duane was 5th.
Duane was 5th. Okay, so yeah, Duane was hanging till the end, and he was on his Smelting Vat combo. So as you went through the Swiss, when you win an event, a lot of little things come together to make you be able to win. Normally, it's not the case that you kind of breeze through things. Talk to me about, in the Swiss, what are some of the little edges or little things that ended up in your favor that added up to you winning?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first round I played Jake, he was playing Stu's Champs deck. Stu made top 16 with this sort of 5-color Goblin Engineer Lurrus Time Vault combo deck, which is pretty wild.
Yes.
Those games are very, very tight because, he's playing a similar blue deck with sagas and all that to what I was. In game 1, we had a situation where, I think it was game 1, he had played an Engineer and put Time Vault in the yard, and then I Fatal Pushed it with my 1 main deck Fatal Push. And then a turn or 2 later, he played a second Engineer to get Key in the yard, which put me on a pretty small clock, right? Because I only had one removal, so I had a repeal left in my deck and I had a Snapcaster left in my deck, which is the only ways I had to actually kill this engineer before it brought back Key Vault, and then I died to it. Because I don't have any answer to Key Vault. I mean, I'm blue-black, so I can't kill artifacts. So he played that, and I managed to play Dig Through Time on the end step and found my one Snapcaster Mage, which I was able to use to replay the Fatal Push. And then with Lurrus going, I was able to use Snapcaster Mage to attack and block and die, and then I used Lurrus to replay it and replay like an Ancestral or something. And from there I got there, but it very much like that Dig Through Time basically needed to find Snapcaster or something else to let me deal with his graveyard, or else I was going to be pretty much Key Vault locked shortly thereafter. And then the other game with Jake was also very close, of just like, he was just one threat behind at all times. Like every turn he would play a PO or something else that was big and scary, and I have a counter for it. And I was out of gas, but there's about 2 or 3 turns where if he had drawn another big action card, he would have been able to force it through, and then I would have lost, but he just didn't quite get there, so I was able to squeak it out with my Saga tokens and stuff.
So, if I might back you up for a second there.
Yeah.
You said that you needed Snapcaster to get through to prevent the vault key from hitting the table.
Yes.
And then you mentioned earlier that the newest iteration of the deck does not have Snapcaster in it anymore.
Yeah.
So
the version I played in Milwaukee doesn't have Snapcaster, but it does have swords, and it also has access to Seal of Cleansing in the main deck, which gives you more answers, that kind of stuff. And it also had, like, the one I played in Milwaukee, I was playing Twister and Key Vault of my own, so you were less reliant. Like, you don't have to always control the game long enough to attack them to death. You can just sort of combo out with Twister, or you can just like Key Vault them out.
Right. And I just now noticed like the synergy with Snapcaster and Lurrus. You can just keep pulling spells out.
Yes,
right?
I did that a couple times in the event, and it was as broken as you could imagine.
But you took Snapcaster out.
So I wasn't playing Snapcaster in my latest version. I was playing blue, black, white, but white was for a seal, a swords, and then a bunch of sideboard cards.
Seal, you get the same thing though, Angelo, right? You keep
Seal's sick.
You can replay Seal of Cleansing if you want to.
Yeah.
So that was round 2 was against Nat on Blue Belcher. So that was it was a surprisingly interesting game 1. So I mulliganed to 5, I believe. And I knew what he was playing. He knew what I was playing. And I mulled to 5, and I kept a Wasteland, a Force, a blue card, a Spell Pierce, and like an Island. And I put back a Bowmaster and like another blue spell or something. Like something else good. Like it was actually like kind of a tough putback, but I felt pretty confident in my keep. I kept the Wasteland specifically because if he gets Academy, I need to kill it immediately. And I put back Bowmaster even though it's a threat, which is reasonable, not great against him, but he's got draw 7s. And so Nat, on his first turn, just had like a Chrome Mox and passed. So I played an Island. And then his second turn, he played a big threat and I forced it. And then he played a Wish and I Spell Pierced it with my other card. I untapped and played a Wasteland, which was my last card before I drew, and was pretty happy with my keep, right? So I kept 5 and I used all of them by my second turn to stay alive. I played a few more turns of, I was sort of like, I drew an Ancestral a couple turns later to start getting some resources back, playing some lands. And then he played Atraxa, if you're familiar. It's like 12 green to cast it, but it costs 3 less for every spell you've cast, or like 14 green or whatever. And it is a 7/7 trample hexproof on the turn that it comes into play. And I also trample over planeswalkers, which, very relevant against me. So he played Atraxa and I had like nothing going on. So he hit me twice, eventually knocked me down to 3 life before I was able to get Lurrus in play with like a Bowmaster and a token sitting there too. So I played Lurrus, and then on my end step, I used Lurrus to replay Dress Down. And Nat sort of picked up the game that we were playing, the whole bit, right, where every turn I was just going to play my normal turn, do my normal stuff, and then end step, play Dress Down to take away his trample. And then once I got I drew a Saga a couple turns later, start making giant tokens, and from there he was dead. But I got the really interesting theoretical idea, right? Lurrus Dress Down lets you deal with most sort of creature-y things that are happening. And it actually got to work that he had a 7/7 I couldn't actually kill, but I didn't need to. I could just make it not trample and then chump block it a bunch of times until I drew a Saga. So that was for me a very fun interaction to get to make it happen.
That's very interesting.
I'm sorry. I'm the rube here.
Oh yeah.
You're casting Dress Down. It enters the battlefield, draw a card, creatures lose all abilities. At the beginning of the end step, sacrifice it. So you'd have to cast that during your end step for that?
Yes.
In his end step.
And Lurrus says I can play one card on my turn, but it doesn't say, there's no restriction on timing. So I would go to my end step with Lurrus and replay the Dress Down from the graveyard, it sits in play during Nat's turn, and then it dies at the end of his turn. Next turn, I do the same thing.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, wait, you're playing that on his turn? No, you can't do that.
No. I was on my end step, which is real fun. Well, not fun for Nat, but it was fun for me.
Yeah. Good navigation there.
Yeah.
And you're drawing cards.
Exactly. I'm drawing 2 cards a turn with Lurrus. So round 3, I played against Brassman against Andy. Turn 1, he just played turn 1 Time Warp, turn 2 Orchard Oath, and I didn't have a counter spell, so I died to Atraxa. Like a few turns later, I just kind of like sat there to see what cards were in his deck. And then the next 2 games, basically, I played or fetched my cage, my Grafdigger's Cage. That's a big thing, is that Saga can go get your cage for you. If you can survive for like 1 or 2 turns, as turn 1 Saga will turn off their turn 1 or 2 Oath. So I was able to get cage into play and then just counter Oko, and that's about it. Those are sort of the only cards that matter in his whole deck at that point, is Oko and Show and Tell. I think that matchup is not great for me. I played it a bunch with Lorian here in Chicago. Even post-board was feeling pretty behind, so that's why I played white. And Milwaukee was so specifically to sideboard for Containment Priest, because it's just miles better than any other anti-Oath card I could afford. And I was happy, like I beat Oath once or twice
in Milwaukee.
They have to have
Dismember exactly then.
Yeah. So I think that matchup, I definitely lucked out a little bit to beat that one. I was behind there, but, I'll take what I can get.
Those things have to come together to be able to win. Right?
Yeah, you have to get lucky a bunch of times to win an event. So round 4, who did I play round 4? I played Chad with Beseech.
That was Beseech.
Yeah, so Chad was not feeling great about his chances because my deck is all counter spells, and that's pretty good against your combo deck. But we got into a really interesting spot in, I don't it was either game 1 or game 2, where he had like a pretty reasonable graveyard. It wasn't amazing, but it was pretty good. He had only 1 Mox in it, but he had exactly 3 lands and a Mox in play, and I had double Saga going, so I was going to kill him in 2 of his turns. He had 2 draws before he was dead because I was going to have 40 power of Saga tokens in 2 turns. So he went to get off his turn. I'm like, all right, just don't draw Beseech here, and I'm good. And then he draws, and of course flips Beseech immediately. So he's sort of mathing it out, and he's able to get to 8 Storm and then play Tendrils, and I'm at 19. So he's able to Tendrils me to 1 life, but not actually kill me with his Beseech chain. And then I, make Saga tokens, and he's at 38 or whatever, but I have 4 Saga tokens and 4 other artifacts, so he dies. He buys himself exactly 1 turn with that, but it was super tight. If he had any other playable spell in his graveyard, he would have had Exact Storm, but he was just a little short. It was game 2 for sure. He had boarded out his One Ring and I think his Sheoldred, one or both of them. So he couldn't do that's sort of the value Beseech, right? Is you Beseech for 1 ring to draw a bunch of cards. But he had
if you had just fetched one more time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I was very close to death. I'd cast an extra Force of Will instead of a Force of Negation, that kind of thing. But so I ended up winning that one in 2. And that was tight. But yeah, Chad was not feeling great about his chances against me, which I think were better than he was representing. But it turned out in my favor. Round 5 with Duane was a grind. That matchup was long. So Duane's deck has 19 cards in it that if they resolve, I die, right? And it has 4 Sagas. His deck is so scary. And I don't have Null Rods, which is my usual
he
solution.
Just keeps playing Haymakers, right?
Yeah,
just Haymaker.
So many big spells. Game 1 was a long game. He couldn't quite get going, and I had some aggro, some beatdowns happening with a Saga token. I was wasting his, and basically came to a spot where he was sort of he had to do a couple. He had a top, but I had a Bowmaster, right? So he couldn't use it all that effectively. Bowmaster was surprisingly good there because he has a lot. He was pretty reliant on his tops to keep his engine going a bunch of the time, and Bowmaster kind of shut that down pretty effectively. So it was either game 1 or game 3. He got down to 1 life on his sort of critical turn, trying to get there, and just was either 2 mana or 1 more card short of being able to finish going off. But he just couldn't quite get there. I had just enough, and Bowmaster in play kept him from drawing the extra cards he needed. So we had this really tight match. Game 2, he just, he played 4 artifacts on turn 1 on a Saga, and I didn't have a Wasteland, so I just got annihilated by Saga tokens very quickly. But our games 1 and 3 were both very close.
Yeah, Duane's deck is really tough.
It's very powerful. It has so many big cards.
Well, one of those cards you have to counter is Defense Grid, right? Because how quickly does your deck even make 3 mana to be able to hold up a force on his turn, right?
Yeah, the Lurrus deck is pretty good at that actually, because you have full Mox Lotus Soul Ring.
That's fair.
And Saga can fetch you your Lotus or whatever every time, or your Soul Ring. But he played multiple defense grids against me, which I then had to counter one of them. And in one of the games, I want to say it was game one maybe. I on my turn I repealed the defense grid with the thought of I'm going to counter it on the way back down, and then he drew and like replayed it, and I was like, oh wait, I can't really afford to counter it because I have 3 mana. But if he plays another threat after, it's going to kill me. So I let it resolve, and then he played another threat, and I had the counter spell up for it. So I basically just repealed it for no reason when it came down to it,
card,
just to cycle repeal. But I made the smart play. I managed to, it's that sort of spot where like you pick a line, and then you start it with like I had the line of like I'm going to repeal it and then counter it on the way back. So I repealed it, and then when we got to his turn, I was able to sort of adjust my line, even if it made my previous play not great. I didn't feel like I was priced into it, right? I didn't fall to the sort of sunk cost thing.
Right.
I was able to change my mind and let it go, and then counter his other spell, and managed to win from there.
So this takes you in a very nice 5-0 run through the Swiss, only dropping a few games here and there. Your number 1 seed going into the top 8. The top 8 is you, and then we have Mr. McGrew. Did he play the same deck?
No. He was playing totally different.
He had Golos. He had colorless aggro.
He was on
colorless aggro. And K Nels was K Nels number 3 on Dredge. Yep. And Josh on his Divining Witch combo deck, Oracle Divining Witch deck. Number 4.
He changed 4 cards from last year. He added 4 Lorien Revealed to it. Yeah.
Oh. And did he say they were good? I think he said they were good.
I think he should have played a Lurrus too instead of his Labman main, but that's because I'd spent all day playing Lurrus and it was insane for me.
Fair.
But anyway.
And then we had Duane, aforementioned colorless aficionado on his Smelting Bat deck. Then Andy on Oath. Number 7 was Chad on Beseech. And then Jake snuck into 8th with the Engineer deck. So 3 of your opponents were in the top 8. So
4 of my opponents. That's Chad, awesome. Andy, Jake, and Duane.
Andy also, yeah.
Only Nat did not make it.
Yeah, so you pulled all those guys in with you. That's awesome. So you had a rematch with Jake in the quarters, and you won that. How did that go, or anything interesting?
Unfortunately, Jake had to get going because he had to drive back to Cleveland, so he scooped that match. So we didn't actually have to play the final.
We didn't bump Tribal into the top 8?
That's a new Hazard HSI rule that I believe going forward, we'll bump people up. For that one, Jake just conceded because he had to leave.
You beat him in the Swiss, and likely we're going to beat him again in the quarterfinals.
I mean, I support the bumping too. I think that's what we're here to play.
I think in the future we'll probably do that, but it's not like we're playing for power, right? We're playing for first pick of a bunch of approximately equal prizes.
Playing for dominance.
No one thought of it, and maybe Matt was already packed up and he was done mentally. So but next time, in general, everyone agrees, and we'll be.
So I didn't actually play my top 8. I got the free one.
But on the other side was Chad versus Steven. Did we get the pairings right?
I don't have it up. If you have the melee thing with the top 8.
I don't. It doesn't show the top 8 because. I
don't see the top 8 on the melee.
The top 8.
I mean, do you have the standings?
You have to make a separate phase. Yeah, it should have been Steven versus Chad as the 2 versus 7.
We definitely did it correctly. I just did it on paper. We did all the 1v8 and stuff correctly and everything.
So then if you did 1v8, so then the other one on your side should have been the 4th and 5th match.
Yeah, I believe.
So Josh and Duane should have been on your side.
I believe Steven was with Jake, so I think he also scooped to Chad. So I think Chad and I both.
So then, did Josh and Duane play?
They did.
Who did you play in the semis?
So in the semis, I played against Chad again. No, that's not right.
Okay, so Chad and Duane.
Who was 4-5?
4-5 was Josh and Duane.
I think that your standings might not be correct because I played Josh in the finals. Anyway, I played Chad in the semifinals. Okay. Whatever the rest of the order was, who knows? And neither of our games were very close.
So you played Chad in the semis.
He just kind of didn't do anything, and I don't really remember much of those games except he didn't do much, and I beat him. I think I played Chad, right? Sounds right. K. Nels lost, so he played, I think it was Kevin Nelson against Josh on the other semi. I'm pretty sure of that one. I know Josh made the semis.
This is what happens when I'm not there to help.
We did this on paper rather than in Melee because none of us really knew Melee. It took us about 10 minutes to figure out how to pair round 2 because nobody had used Melee before, and their user interface leaves something to be desired. If the Melee people listen to this, please, dear God, hire a UX designer. I'm begging you, hire anyone who knows UX.
Yeah, we're going to use Melee for the land, but I'm going to look at another different one, I guess.
Yeah,
Rob told
There's
me
like
about
Top Deck,
Command Tower.
GG, and
We might
Command
check that
Tower
out.
and stuff are both good. But anyway, yeah. So we did the topic on paper. Sorry, so I don't have the exact matches. Hazard might have it written down in the future.
So you virtually beat Jake. Then you played Chad, and you beat him again.
I'm pretty sure. Read me the top 8 again. It was me, all my opponents. Who were the other? It was K. Nelson,
And Steven, Kevin Nelson, and Josh Chappell.
Josh Chappell. So I played Josh in the finals. I didn't play Steven. I didn't play K. Nelson. Yeah, so I played Chad in the semis. That sounds right.
Based on the standings here, you should not have played Josh in the finals because he should have been on the same side.
I mistrust your standings.
Right.
But that's
Based
okay.
on the top 8. I am like 95% sure that the bracket was done correctly. Because like there was like Kevin Nelson was like, hey, like based on this written one, I should be playing this. And I like referred back to the actual top 8 standing. It was like, no, it's correct. And he agreed. So I'm like, I definitely did it correctly.
Well, I'm just trying to get to the truth of what happened.
Who knows what Melee was doing.
So the truth of what happened is you did not play the quarterfinals.
I played
but you won virtually against Jake. Then you played Chad in the semis, and you won in 2 games.
Yeah, it was neither of the games. Like he didn't do anything in either game.
Same thing, kind of. He just couldn't chain him stuff.
Yeah.
You countered the things that you need to counter, wasted his good lands.
Yeah, I think he probably mulliganed a couple times and just kind of didn't do anything.
Okay, and then you came up against Josh with his rogue deck, and so you kind of knew exactly what to do though against Josh. And Josh, as many folks know, for many, many years, co-host of the Serious Vintage podcast, doesn't play a ton of vintage. So you definitely, I'm sure, had the advantage of reps with your deck.
That was actually maybe the one time when I didn't, because remember, he played this deck last year as well. So he had approximately twice as much tournament experience as I did, because I only had this event, essentially. But I did have the advantage in that my cards were good and his were not good. His were a lot worse in general.
Yeah.
And also, like, in our 2 games, like...
Yeah, he's got 3 curse catchers. Come on.
Yeah, in our 2 games, at no point did he ever attempt to win the game in any way. Both games, he kept reasonable but slightly mana-heavy hands, and then just drew, like, 4 lands for his first 4 turns.
4 more
like,
lands.
Literally, like, in either game.
So, did he resolve Dark Confidant?
No, he never played a Dark Confidant. I think he cast... 2 non-mana spells in 2 games combined. He cast a creature in one, and he tried to counter a spell in the other, and otherwise did literally nothing. And revealed his hand, and the game was just useless, like just more lands and like useless spells. So it was just really unlucky draws for him.
A little anticlimactic, but I mean, you battled through the whole day to get there.
So, it sounds like you mowed down the top 8.
I mean, I got a free one, and then my two opponents in the top 8 just kind of. At no point drew cards that had a chance of winning the game, essentially. And I drew anything reasonable.
This is the way it has to come together, though. Congratulations on winning again, Jimmy. That's really cool. And I really enjoy hearing you talk about the deck and the lines that you're taking. And to hear your enjoyment from playing the deck is really nice. I like it a lot. Thanks.
I learned a lot.
It was a lot of fun. Like, I liked Vintage a lot at that event. I thought there's a lot of really cool stuff. Like I went up to Milwaukee and played a couple months later. I think Vintage is an interesting place, right? There's a couple of top tier blue decks. There's also like the Golos prison decks do okay online. There's all the various Bazaar decks between Dredge and 7 different Hollow One versions. There's the Mono White Initiative and then like the Blue White Initiative decks, which are also very good. There's easily 10 decks that you could bring to a tournament and not feel like out of contention, right? That you could feel like this deck can win the event for sure. Which I can't remember the last time Vintage has had this many decks that are all so close in power, that are so able to win events, as opposed to, like 3 decks that are serious and then everyone else is just kind of trolling.
It's really cool to hear that you're excited. Like I said, it's exciting that people are excited. So I expect to see you out in Ohio in a couple months here. And I will also expect that you will be on this similar Lurrus Bowmaster deck, so I'll be prepared for you, hopefully, and not get mowed down.
I mean, we'll see.
Let's ask a question for the benefit of the audience. So were there any archetypes that you were expecting to run into or like hoping to run into that didn't pop up?
I mean, I had like you mentioned the Soul Rens in my sideboard. So like the sideboard had a bunch of cards, right, that were very focused on Mono White Initiative, but I didn't play against any of those decks, right? So I did, like literally half my board never came in, just kind of sat there because I just didn't play the matchups for it. But Frankly, I'm kind of okay with that because the reason there's like 6 or 7 cards is because those are not good matchups.
Yeah, not using sideboard cards is a good thing.
The one regret I have, one of the joys I got to cast a Spreading Seas on an Urza Saga. That was awesome. Against Duane.
That always feels great.
That's like that was the reason it's in there. Is like this card against Saga is so good. It's just 2 mana, destroy land, draw card. But the tragedy is I never got to cast my Teferi's Response. So the Teferi's Response replaced the 3rd Soul Rend that people were playing because it's like I have 1 slot. I want to play something fun. You know what? I'm playing a Saga deck. There's going to be Wastelands. I'll bring this in, and like I don't think any of my opponents had Wastelands. Josh might have, but otherwise, like looking back at my matches, I like didn't play against like a single Wasteland, so my Teferi's Response never got to do its thing, which is what I was really hoping to do.
Did you ever side it in?
I sided in like once or twice against people who I thought might have them or like would have like ways to kill my Saga, but it it didn't come up. I think I drew it like 1 time and it was useless. It got like pitched to force.
All right.
So just real quick, Jimmy, when you play Spreading Seas on a Saga, it kills it.
It does.
It becomes an island and then dies,
yes.
right? Because it no longer has its chapter.
Yes, it's a Saga without any chapter,
okay.
So
like it's like a blood.
It dies instantly, but you also get to draw a card from it because Spreading Seas draws a card when it comes into play.
You still get the card.
Yeah, so it's 2 mana, Vindicate your Saga, draw a card.
That's
obviously
sick.
That's a very powerful effect, but
he's in the future.
I mean, there are some like people playing them online. I didn't come up with that on my own or anything like that. I am not the originator of that card for Sagas, but it was more fun than like the best thing to do.
So I'll give you the last word then, Jimmy. Wrap us up. Give us your thoughts, the last final thoughts on your tournament.
I mean, this has been going on. These TSIs have been going on 10 years now. I've probably missed less than 5 of them over that whole period. And these were my first 2 wins in all that time. So it felt pretty good last year to finally get a win. And this year it was awesome to be able to come back and defend my title and keep it going. And think that it wasn't just a fluke right last year that I just got a lucky deck list or got lucky matchups or whatever to sort of play a reasonable deck. And I think play it better than I expected. I felt like I was playing pretty good Magic most of the day. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like I love those events. Even if I'm losing at them, they're still fun. I sort of had a period where I was playing like goofy decks, right? Like at the land, I played a mostly singleton, 2 Tainted Pact, 2 Thassa's Oracle combo deck. I played like a lot of like goofy stuff like Bomberman decks and Dragon decks and things like that. But Vintage is fun. Vintage is interesting to me right now. So it's made me interested in playing real decks. And yeah, it's a good time. I'm still not going to like sign on to Magic Online or anything, but we play Vintage here in Chicago a little bit, and there's been a little more interest. So it's pretty cool to get back into my favorite format of all time.
Right on, Jimmy. Thanks so much, man. Thanks so much for chatting with us about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to switch it up. We're going to talk a little bit about Vintage right now.
That's fine. Jimmy will have more input on the format than I will.
Not by a whole lot.
Hey, that's the whole point, though, is that
I'm looking at this. I'm looking at these deck names, and I don't see things that I know because I don't play Vintage ever. There's no PO. There's no Czar.
Don't you play twice a year, Angelo?
I play once a year.
Well,
and yeah, so I got some learning to do.
All those decks are present. Like I played against.
Well, just the names. Like we got Dimir aggro, colorless aggro. I see colorless shops.
Yeah, the names were just picked from like Melee's got a drop down. So you sort of have to like pick random shit on their drop down. So yeah, I picked just like Dimir controller.
They don't have vintage archetypes in there. Yeah. They don't have real vintage archetypes.
Also, lots of Lord of the Rings cards.
Yes, Lord of the Rings is huge.
There were Orcish Bowmasters all around the room.
I'm looking at a Canoptek Scarab Swarm.
That is a Warhammer card.
You gotta be a Duane's list, huh?
That's McGrew's.
Oh.
Hazard, I have a question for you. You used to collect one uncommon common set of every set. With the pace of release in the last 2 years, have you kept that up? And if not, why not? Talk to us about that aspect of your collecting, because I always thought that was cool.
Negative. It stopped around the time that we moved. So about 2.5 years ago. And frankly, you nailed the reason. It was pace. I just could not keep up. I'm pretty representative of the aging vintage crowd.
It wasn't because you had to pick up all those boxes?
I did have to move all those. Are we PG? I did have to move all the fucking boxes. Holy.
Yeah.
And I had to write checks to have others move those boxes.
Yes, paying other people to move those boxes.
Right, not the valuable ones, of course, but a common, uncommon set. Right. Yeah, I'll pay someone to move those. But no, I haven't kept up. I've dropped off. It seems to me like the releases are just so frequent. I just can't keep up as my time to dedicate to my hobby that I love is reduced.
Okay, so here's the quiz question then. Jimmy.
Yeah.
What is the most recently released Magic set?
Oh, that's the whole question?
That's the question. What is the most recent release of Magic?
I was expecting there to be more to that question.
Nope, that's
like
it.
A qualifier?
There's that weird Western one, but I don't think that's out yet. I was watching like some streams of that thing today.
So you know that one's coming, but did you even remember the name of the last set before this?
I mean, there was Lord of the Rings, there was Warhammer. I don't think it was Warhammer, but like I don't remember what came.
Okay, pause. Hazard, phone a friend. Do you know, Hazard, what the last release set of Magic was called?
Wasn't it the Murders at the Manor?
Yes, you got it. Ding. You get 1 point. 1 point.
All right.
Okay.
I'll take that point.
Here's the next question. I'm going to ask Hazard first because I think Jimmy will get it. Maybe Hazard, you'll probably get it. What was the most recent change to the Vintage B&R?
Oh, that was the Ponder.
Ponder Unrestrict.
Ponder?
Okay, so Jimmy, you would have gotten that as well. Yeah, right?
I would have.
Is that when everybody realized that they could play 4 Ponders and then they shouldn't be playing any Ponders?
Yeah, pretty much. Like they're like, oh my god, Ponder's Unrestricted. So I like came into the Death Star to our chat room and I was just like reading the chat, like everyone was talking about like Ponder for some reason. I was like, what's going on? It took till like the afternoon before I was like, oh, there was a B&R today. And I looked it up. I was like, oh, it got unrestricted, I see. But it took me half a day to be like, why are they talking about Ponder? It's not even that good. I think it's worse than Preordain.
They're so slow moving there. I mean, like, nobody plays Imperial Seal. It's on the restricted list.
Yeah, it's just not what Vintage is about, right? And there's like stuff like Bowmasters and Hull Breachers and stuff everywhere. There's all these really punishing like anti-cantrip cards. Plus the existence of Urza Saga combined with Lorien Reveal. That deck really doesn't want 1-mana cantrips because you don't really want to be playing an island and casting a cantrip turn when you want to be cycling.
With that in mind, right? So Ponder Unrestriction, the question I was going to ask is, does it matter? So it doesn't really matter, I think is what I'm hearing you say. So what is the next card or the next top 3 cards that should be unrestricted? I'll start with you, Hazard.
Well, I've been a big advocate of wanting to play with Channel.
Free channel, indeed.
Hashtag free channel.
Hashtag, yeah. There's no reason for Imperial Seal to be on that list. That doesn't see
I think Imperial Seal will be very similar to the Ponder Unrestriction, right? Like, it would be like, oh, sweet, but no one would play 4 or even probably more than 3. I don't know. Is there a 4 Imperial Seal deck?
I don't think so.
I mean, not at sorcery speed.
No decks play it today, do they?
You might see one in like some like Tendrils combo, but it's pretty rare.
Yawgmoth's Bargain was unrestricted a while ago, right?
I think so.
Yawgmoth's Bargain?
Yeah, I think so.
Bargain has been unrestricted, but then Citadel was so much better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and we don't see Bargain much. Yeah, man, what else?
You can play 4 Citadel also if you really wanted to.
It's about as good as 4 Bargain, it turns out.
Yeah, Channel, Imperial Seal. What will be the third?
I think Imperial Seal is a good choice because it has a similar impact as Ponder, right? And so it's pretty safe, and you can, I mean, as you know, as many folks know, I'm about unrestricting cards. We should have as many unrestricted cards as possible. I think that's a good choice. If you don't have a third one, I'll switch over to you, Jimmy. What's like another one in the Ponder way?
Let's go with Windfall for my third.
Okay. I think Windfall's a similar one. Maybe it would be, but again, like, is there a blue-based combo deck that wants to do that effect with Bowmaster in the game? I think that's a fine one. What about you, Jimmy? What do you think?
I got all different ones, Hazard. I'm on board with Channel, which is not one of my picks. Number one is easy, is Narset. You have two much, much better cards that do the same thing as Narset that are unrestricted in Bowmaster and Hullbreacher. There's just no reason for that to be unrestricted. Nobody would be playing Narsets. When you look at your deck list, you're like, well, I could play 4 Bowmaster, I could play 4 Hullbreacher, or I could play blue 1 sorcery speed version of this effect. I don't think it's close. I think Narset
I gotta say, but Narset turns it off, though, dude. You don't draw.
I mean, Hullbreacher...
Narset denies...
Yeah, Hullbreacher's even
denies the possibility of finding answers.
Hullbreacher turns those draws into treasures.
But Hullbreacher has no minus. Has no minus. Okay, so I won't interrupt.
Yeah, I think Narset's an easy one.
You got Narset. Who else you got?
I think Jimmy's good with that one because Narset was pre-Bowmaster and pre-Hullbreacher, right?
Yeah, it was sort of the first playable. So Leovold existed for a while, but it's 3 colors and it's a 3/3 creature, so it's relatively vulnerable. I played Leovolds and had great success with them. They were super good.
Notion Thief.
Yeah, and Notion Thief came out and that saw a bit of play, but it costs 4, which made it a little tougher. And then Narset, by the time Narset was restricted, it was a 2 of in most decks that played it anyway. I think it was kind of unnecessary, and I think it's really unnecessary now. I mean, I wish I would like Brainstorm unrestricted, but that's kind of unreasonable. But I would love that to happen. That's my number one love to have because I just love playing with Brainstorms.
In Magical Christmas Land, you get Brainstorm.
Yeah, but I'm not going to pick that because that's not really on the list. I think it's either... I think Merchant Scroll is not even good. Most of the blue decks aren't even playing the one that they could play. And without 4 Gush, it kind of it loses its real power, which is if you have 4 Gush, then it's really, really good. It's basically a free Gush.
And Merchant Scroll was neutered with others, right? That was the Flash with Flash.
So Scroll, Brainstorm, Gush, Flash, Preordain, or Ponder were all at the same time, all in the same apocalypse.
I'm with you on Merchant Scroll.
I like Scroll too, yeah. I like that.
I think both of I think Scroll is even less impactful than Narset. I don't think Scroll would see much play. I think Narset maybe people would play 2, but I don't know. I mean, Lurrus is so powerful that 3 mana permanents are really out of fashion right now. For my third one, can I get 4? I got 2 spicier takes here.
2 heaters.
Yeah.
All right. You get 4. Angelo, now you only get 2.
My third one is Yawgmoth's Will. So you can already play 4 Underworld Breach, which is mostly better than Yawg-Will at what people are doing in Vintage today, because you can play your Black Lotus multiple times from the graveyard. Beseech combo deck plays it, and they're pretty much the only one. So I think Yawg-Will is a very safe unrestriction. I think it could bring back decks that are trying to play more of a mid-range Yawg-Will game. I doubt that they would be on the level of the Bowmaster control decks and the PO shop decks, but I think that'd be a fun one that could actually have an interesting impact.
Yeah, I'm hip. I like that.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that one.
All right, my fourth one is Necropotence. I think 4 Necropotence would be fine. I think it's generally less powerful than Doomsday in terms of winning the game right away. It's not a card that you're really going to want to play in the sort of Urza Saga Bowmaster shell, and you're not going to want to play it in the Workshop PO shell, and you're not going to want to play it in an Oath deck, which are the 3 biggest sort of overpowering blue decks at the moment. So I think it would really give combo a better chance.
Doesn't Necro sidestep Bowmaster?
It does. That's a reason to unrestrict it.
That it sort of plays around a lot of what those decks are doing. You're not as vulnerable to them as you are.
But now you're vulnerable to just straight aggro. You're just paying life now. If someone's just putting random 4/4s or 3/1s on the board Dredge or
2/3 flyers,
you're more susceptible to straight aggros, right?
Absolutely, yeah. The white initiative decks will be pretty much fine with that because they would you'd play a Necro and then they'd play a Archon, and then you'd have 10 cards in hand that you can't play any of them. So I think that's a fine interaction where the prison deck beats the combo.
I like it.
So I think 4 Necro would also be totally safe.
The 4 Necro deck, it seems like you're encouraging some maybe other cards to see play as well. I would love to see Deed played in Vintage again. It seems so slow, but it's so powerful, the effect.
Yeah, I don't think that's been playable in Vintage.
It kills Saga tokens. I don't disagree, but again, what other cards does that 4 Necro deck encourage people to play, I guess is more the point.
Yeah, but that's an interesting take that maybe you make a more mid-rangey Necro control deck rather than just doing a combo deck with it. that could exist and that would be cool, but that's going to be very different than the Bowmaster control decks. Can be very different than the other control decks you have today, because playing 4-neck, you're going to need dark rituals, you're going to need way more black cards. You probably don't want as many of the blue cards as those decks have. Saga is also a much tougher include there. So that engine is sort of harder for you to fit in, which is, I think, is good for having an interesting format with a lot of different things going on, rather than, you know, like a couple things that are just way better than everything else.
Like all your choices there, Jimmy. So I'll definitely co-sign those. And again, the exercise, you guys played along well. Angelo, you understand the assignment, right? So we want to pick cards that are currently restricted. That would probably go.
So my first choice was going to be Necro. Without all the insight that Jimmy has, it just feels like plain worse than some of the stuff that's out there and a little outdated.
Yeah, just on gut feel, right? Yeah.
It just seems like an old band that needs to come off. I have a question for you guys. I understand why this card is restricted, and I know that it's a polarizing thing in some ways. I honestly, when I first started playing Vintage, was a little surprised that we were all so afraid of Gitaxian Probe. Like, I get that it's just a bunch of 56 card decks now, and that the guy who gets his Git Probe first gets like some information out of it. Why not just ride the snake? What was it like when you could have it unrestricted?
Things like Doomsday became easier, right? Because you could bet 0 mana to get into your pile, right? So just combo became really good, and things got really degenerate. I really liked 4 Git probes, but again, like it was kind of like the mental misstep thing where like everyone, you just had to play 4.
Yeah, misstep gets out of hand.
I think like Git Probe is pretty low on my list of possible unrestrictions, because not only is it like theoretically a smaller deck, but that's kind of whatever to me, because you could play 4 Street Wraith and
I get it. We're going all in if we unrestrict that. I get that part.
Yeah, the most value there is the information.
Yeah, the information's huge. Just getting like free cards in your graveyard is powerful. Having access to more blue cards, right? Because you can't pitch a Street Wraith to Force of Will, but you can with a Git Probe or a Lorien Revealed. I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff I'd like to do with it. You know, I'd like to play like Death Shadow with it, but I think it's way too powerful.
There's other cards. Yeah, so what's another card then?
There's just another wild one. Oh, and before I go on, I want to say something about Narset. Are there other, I guess, like Windfall and Wheel of Fortune and all these, like, you know, recycle your hand things with Narset is pretty punishing. It's not as punishing with Bowmasters and Hullbreacher, is it?
It's much worse with Hullbreacher. So if I twister with Hullbreacher,
you don't get to draw.
Not only do you not draw, but I also get 7 Lotus Petals for free, because every card you would have drawn, I get a treasure instead. So it's basically the game ends on the spot, because I just drew 7 cards, have 7 free mana, and you have nothing.
Mind twisted you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then
it's
unban
much worse.
Or unrestrict Narset. All right, so here's the other one. Dumb question. But if we unrestricted Soul Ring, how out of hand would colorless Workshop decks get? I feel like they already have a ton of mana, and that's not really, they don't really need it.
It would be good for them, but I think it would also be really good for like Mono White Initiative. That would be massive for that deck, because like
PO also.
Fair.
PO
for like PO type decks, like the shop deck.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean they're playing like 3 or 4 like Grim Monoliths, right? So like switching those into Sol Rings would be a massive upgrade.
I'm thinking about the like mono red prison decks that play Tombs and City of Traders.
Yeah, I mean you could do that.
All right, so my official third then would probably be Dig Through Time. I never really fully understood that one, except for like that everybody was playing it, but it didn't seem that powerful.
I think it'd be fun to play with those two. Play with Treasure Cruise, play with Dig Through Time, because what you said is true.
I think that Treasure Cruise is more unrestrictable than Dig. I think Dig is a lot more powerful. In the era that it was unrestricted, even in Bug, I'd play like 3 Dig and 1 Treasure Cruise. I mean, you had cards like Mental Note type effects and the Thought Scour, which is, 1 blue mana, draw a card, put 3 cards in your graveyard. That's huge. Like you're casting Dig Through Time on turn 2 or 3 very often with fetch lands. That's another case, right? If you have 4 probes, that's huge.
Again, it's fine to me. Well, don't put the probes in, but I'm saying Dig Through Time to me is fine to be unrestricted because of the fact that you have to dedicate a lot to that. You have to kind of build around it if you're playing multiples.
Warps your deck list.
I think that like Dig Through Time, that's a card that like Ponder becomes much better. Preordain, right? The cantrips become much better. because you want to, just like move cardboard around to get to your dig through time. And like when you cast dig and then you untap and you cast a second dig, it's pretty hard to lose the game from there. I think that Treasure Cruise is the safer unrestriction. Not that I think Treasure Cruise is safe, but I think Treasure Cruise, and like I know Nat Mose, right, is a big proponent of how much better dig is than Cruise.
Okay. All right, I would go with Treasure Cruise first to say, like, if you're going to pick one. I like Treasure Cruise. I like the flavor of Treasure Cruise more than Dig Through Time. So anyway, all right. So that was an awesome chat. Any other thoughts before we move on to food talk?
I think there's even more. I think Thorn is probably safe.
Thorn, okay.
I think Monastery Mentor is also totally unrestrictable at this point.
My homework for you is to just make them in order. I want to put them in order in the show notes. Jimmy's order, the order we should, because we're going to do one every few months. This was what I expect them to do at this point, right? Because Ponder doesn't matter. We can wait a few months or even 6 months and unrestrict something else. So what's the order we should go in?
You want me to order it now or you want it later?
Give me an offline.
Okay, that's fine.
You traveled to from Chicago to Columbus.
Correct.
Talk to me about the food situation. Highlight anything that we should know about if we're making that trip from Chicago to Columbus.
So the night that we got in, I flew direct from Chicago, and I happened to be on the same flight as John Hammock, who had transferred from Oklahoma.
Nice.
So we landed we landed on the same flight. So
Did you do the Chaosdraft?
I did not. No, we landed at like 4:00, but the timing actually worked out pretty well because we did that, and then we took an Uber to the area of the Airbnb we were at, which is also 2 blocks from the HSI location at Hazard's house. So we went to, I think it's Condado there, the taco place.
Yeah, it's pretty
solid.
close by.
Yeah, solid one.
Condado's good.
So John and I went there. So the Chaosdraft was happening like half a mile up the road or something at a brewery, but like they were finishing up when we were leaving the airport. So the plan was they were going to meet us there at Condado, and we would have, a table of anywhere from 10 to 16 people, depending on who all went with them, which worked out pretty well. But so we got there at like 5:45, and they had a happy hour deal where their pitchers of margaritas were like more than half off until 6. So me and John at this long table set for like 14. So we thought about it. We're like, all right, we're going to order 3 pitchers of margaritas. And
yeah, you are.
Hopefully that's the right amount. I waffled for a second. I was like, maybe we'll do 2. You know what? We'll get through 3. So we did. So it's just me and John sitting there at this long table with 3 big pitchers of margaritas in front of us. But luckily we had, another dozen or so from the Chaosdraft come over. So we made our way through them, but we definitely, we got some good value there.
They did come and help you with those. Okay.
About how long did you guys sit there with those pitchers of margarita, with people thinking that you're dining with ghosts?
Like 20, 25 minutes. Yeah, it wasn't like particularly crowded in the restaurant or anything. So it's not like we were just like surrounded by people eyeing our table or whatever. Yeah, we just kind of hung out for a while. But they all showed up. They trickled in at 6 to 6:15.
When John came in early a couple years ago for a previous HSI, my wife and I took him to El Vaquero, and the 3 of us went, and there were margaritas there as well. So,
nice.
Yeah, John's been subjected to that more than once.
Well, that was Friday dinner. What was there anything exciting for breakfast? You had an Airbnb, so you guys were crashing at the Airbnb. What are you doing for breakfast?
So there's a couple different groups, right, based on when people got up. So there's an earlier group that went to a little sort of like diner place called, it had a name that made you think, surely this place will have donuts. Hazard, you might know the name of the place they went.
Where was it at? It wasn't Catalina.
No, it was like up High Street, like 3/4 of a mile or something.
TJ's?
No, the name was something with like dough or not. Like the name was like clearly this place is a dough place.
Dough Mama.
Yes, that's what it was. They went up to Dough Mama, which so I was in a later group. But so the plan was we were going to get donuts because last year when we came out there was a nice little donut shop that I remember being on High Street that had good donuts. So I looked at my phone and just like Googled donuts and it was like Dough Mama, and I'm like, oh well, that must be the place we went to last year. So we walked up High Street for 15, 20 minutes, and we walk into this place and we're looking around at like the menu and we're like, they don't have any donuts here. This is like a sit-down breakfast place.
You must have been at Destination Donuts.
Yeah, well, so we made our way back, but so we like waved at like Josh Chappell and the others in there, and then walked back toward Hazard's place because I checked my phone a little more carefully and found the donut place was literally like on the corner that we were on, like our street corner. But so we walked back, and on the way, Duane got accosted by a group of Girl Scouts very aggressively selling their cookies. And he went to buy some cookies, and he asked if they would take cash. And they're like, yeah, of course. And
Easy mark.
yeah, and he wanted to buy 4 boxes. And they're like, well, if you buy another box, you can get one free and get entered into a raffle to win like a case of them. And so Duane, of course.
Let's not pigeonhole Duane as being an easy mark. Those Girl Scouts could have grabbed any member of Team Sirius.
Oh yeah, no, they were.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of easy marks on Team Sirius, myself included.
They were effective young saleswomen for sure. But so Duane ended up buying like 5 boxes of cookies, and I think he gave a bunch of them away as part of his prize.
I did see some on the prize table.
We had to wait for Duane to buy some cookies, and then we did find our way back to the donut place. We got, between the group of us, we bought like 12 to 2 dozen donuts. I think Duane bought like 12 and a half or something that we then brought over to Hazard's place to be for everyone for donut free for all.
Dude, those donuts are huge.
They're big donuts. Then they're very rich. They're like, like the fancy boutique donuts rather than, like a Dunkin' or something. But they're very tasty. I think Destination Donuts, he said, yeah, that's the place. So that was good.
All right. Take note, folks. When you're in Hazard's Hood, Destination Donuts. All right. So Hazard, normally you have a pizza line. I assume that was the case again this year?
Yeah, I don't think we hit the same quantity as last year because last year, I usually do a 2-for-1. Like if we've got 20 people, we get 10 pizzas. That math usually works out. I think that's what it was this year. We got 10 or 11 pizzas, and they were gone by the end of the night.
So we're gonna just skip ahead a little bit to the end of the night. Hazard, I want to hear a little bit about your outing, your escapade to the bar at the end of the night, and what you drank, if there's anything fun or anything fun you ate at the end of the night.
Yeah, there was another meal there. So there's a pub maybe a mile south of here called O'Reilly's, and they have this bar where you can sit around the bar, and the bartenders are about 1.5 feet lower than you. So they're all standing, and you're sitting, and you're at the same height. Of course, we had a big group, so we went down to a couple tables at the end of the
Interesting.
bar. And I think, I don't know, we had probably about 10 people there. And I'm trying to think. John was there, Brass Man. Jimmy, you were there, right?
I was. So was JR.
Yeah. And a ton of people. I think most of us got food, and we stayed there and drank. They had a bunch of good stuff on tap. And we used the jukebox, which you just don't do every day.
Like an actual factual jukebox? Or like touch tunes?
It was.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you walk out leaving
jukebox.
like 20 songs playing?
I don't think we heard everything we played, but yeah, and it was, some guys I think took an Uber home, but a handful of us walked, and yeah, it was a good time. We were probably there.
Did the jukebox have Who Let the Dogs Out on it?
Who? I'm not sure.
Okay.
But no, that was a pretty good time.
So Hazard Invitational 7, a success, it sounds like. Jimmy as champion.
Jimmy again. I think, Jimmy, you're the first one to repeat right back to back, right?
I am not, in fact.
I think Jaco has won too. Were his back to back also?
Well, they bookended COVID, so there was a 3 or 4 year gap. But he won the last one before COVID and the first one post-COVID, which are actually the 2 before my 2.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I was going to say the 2 before because I did a little research while we're chatting, and I found an email that I sent to NK Mose that showed the setup for the 2016 HSI. So we did 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, so that was 5. We got that 2020 in right before the pandemic. And then we did last year and this year. So that was 6 and 7. We skipped 2021 and 2022. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Jacob must have done the last two
Excellent.
pre-COVID then.
Yeah, 2019 and 2020.
So what I want to do here is record the sign-offs. Angelo's reminding me. I forgot about the new segment we wanted to add. Angelo's Swag Corner. This is where we're gonna ask you about something swag. Angelo, you wanna introduce what is swag?
When you sit against that guy like Tweety, for example, from Austin, and he's got all those old bordered foils. And like, whether you like old border foils or not, you have to respect what the man is doing.
But it's not about money, right? It's not
about
money.
money. It's about like style points. I was about to say, you could even include like proxies, like when Alan showed up to the land with an entire deck made of paper. Like it wasn't cardboard. It was like paper cutouts and sleeves. That was his whole deck 3-4 years ago. Like, that's a mood.
And so, like, either specifically at the Hazard Invitational or your most recent memorable MTG swag experience, something that really struck you, whether it's someone you know or not.
Yeah. So, Jimmy, what'd you see?
Last month, we actually did Vintage up in Milwaukee for the first time in God knows how many years. And we had a bunch of old hands come out, like people I haven't seen in 5, 10, 15 years. Including John
That's
Best,
awesome.
who's a longtime Milwaukee player. Yeah, it was great. Like Mike Solimasi was there, James King was there. Like it was a great group of people, and like it was a great tournament. Had a lot of fun. I lost in the finals, which also didn't hurt. But yeah, it was a good time. But so John Best, he came out, and like we played in this third round or something. He's playing Oath, unsurprisingly, but he's playing Oath with 2 Tidespout Tyrants in it, instead of like only one Atraxa.
That's a Nat Mose deck.
Oh yeah, it was like the first time he opened it up, his opponent like read it, was like, "What the is this?" I was talking to John, and John was playing all real cards. I was playing proxies as I usually do, but John he's like, "Yeah, like I had to go to the bank to my safety deposit box to get out all my power because I haven't played it in probably more than 10 years." So for me, I thought that was pretty swag. That for our random like $20 vintage tournament in Milwaukee, he went and got his $20,000 worth of power out of the safe deposit box just so he could play it.
That's like a scene out of a Seinfeld
swag.
episode, like going to the bank and then like having all those cards. They get all nervous because you got your cards out of the bank.
Yeah, I feel like the Seinfeld episode would end with him losing the cards. So hopefully that didn't happen.
Yeah, then being in a briefcase and up on a mail truck.
But yeah, that was for me. Like, I see lots of people who have super nice cards and stuff, but that was what really struck me about like someone else's cards in general, was seeing John with his power that he had got out that he hasn't played in a decade.
All right, Hazard, what'd you see?
I thought that swag was an acronym for sealed with a gift.
You could also say it's
so
stuff we all get, but this is short for like swagger.
Yeah, sure. Oh, okay. No, that's different. So I'm familiar with the term from like if you work a show, the touring crew would give you a T-shirt, and that would be swag you'd get. But swagger, man, who was it I played at the HSI? Charles has a lot of fancy cards in his deck, if I remember correctly. I think he was playing a deck similar to what Raj won champs with the year before.
He was on mono white again. Yeah, he was at mono white at the land, but he has all altered power. His power is all fully extended alters. Is that what you're referring to, Hazard?
Yeah. I think that was it. But I remember his being much nicer than mine because I did not go to the safety deposit box to get my power. I was running proxies.
As host, I think that's the best thing though, because you're the host. Like you're running around, you got stuff to worry about.
You're ordering pizzas and yeah. I mean, all it was really the Lotus and the Jet. Everything else was mostly in hand because I played a deck that was not the best. I mean, I played a main deck Dreams of Steel and Oil, for Pete's sake.
You love that card. Love
So-
that. All right,
Not even looking back.
so you giving Charles the swag award is what you're saying.
All right, so I
Sure,
got one
yeah.
final question. The retro borders that they're coming out with, like the retro border Thorn of Amethyst, for example. Just gut impulse, one word answer, swag or no. Jimmy.
You mean like the actual old border ones, or like the weird bizarro
Like the
hieroglyphic
retro
borders?
old border ones that aren't, like they try to bring these new cards to the old borders.
Yeah, 100%. I that's out of the last maybe 100 Magic cards I've bought. Almost all of them were old border copies of stuff I already owned. I'm entirely on board with old border versions, non-foil old border versions.
Jimmy says swag.
Absolutely.
Hazard.
I would agree, because like the old bordered hollow one, for example.
Oh, those are
If
good.
I'm
100%. Yeah. What? Yeah.
if I'm going to see that card, then I want it to be old bordered. I don't want it to look like. Yeah, I like them. I think it's
Okay.
Time Spiral or Mastered. Yeah.
Time Spell
Yeah, I'll say
Remastered is-
swag too.
yeah.
The only thing for me is that I have to get them all signed again. So like, stuff like Thorn and there's like a lot of these small ones. Yeah, like that and like Revoker. I was actually going through it just this morning, Angelo. So Revoker, Chromatic Star. There's a bunch of little ones. I'm just like, damn it, but definitely want them. So as soon as I get them, I will ship the other ones out.
It sounds like we're all mentioning the old bordered ones that are colorless too.
I mean, I bought like a bunch. I basically replaced everything I had.
Artifacts look pretty decent. I'm not a fan of them, honestly. I think they look kind of fake. I would rather have the
Again,
original.
like if
printing.
you just put the hollow ones next to each other. Put the hollow ones next to each other. It's being cast against you. Do you care? I guess I care.
I feel it.
I mean, I've never really cared much what people's cards look like as long as they're identifiable.
The only thing I care about is when people proxy a card that has color on a basic land that is not sharing that color.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really appropriate. I want to say left-handed comment about your fellow podcaster Hazard. He's talking about you, Jimmy.
No, I don't do that. I play
Oh,
I play
no,
all
no.
printed proxies now because I hate Sharpie proxies. If I have the option to do printed everything, I just do printed everything because all the look
Oh yeah,
correct.
keep it uniform.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. You can't
Just the
mix the paper
Jeskai
and sleeve.
ascendancy.
That was legitimately like 10 years ago, and I literally
You're never gonna live it down.
I
though. You
spent
never-
all morning setting up the stream and set up the tournament, and then had 10 minutes to build a deck before we started. So like,
As soon as Hazard
Yeah.
said that, I'm like, oh, he's talking about Jimmy.
Oh no,
No.
dude, I was not. Totally was
no,
not.
I don't. I mean, I agree.
anyone-
Like those things are much harder to read, so I just do printed everything now.
Yeah, anyone who takes like a Thoughtseize and puts it on a mountain, you know what I mean? That
Yeah.
kind of shit.
Yeah.
No, thank
That's
you.
not swag. That's anti-swag.
That's the opposite of swag.
Keep your eyes open for some cardboard that you like out there, just because we enjoy looking at the stuff, and it's art. It's beautiful.
It is. Thank you, Angelo. Thank you for the new addition to our cast. Thanks everyone for joining us for another episode of Full Warning, a Team Series podcast. My name is Roger James.
My name is Angelo Cortica.
I'm Jimmy McCarthy.
And I'm Matt Hazard.
You can edit this so I don't sound like a moron, please.